everybody, and welcome to week 3 notes. Well, this is your Tuesday class. You don't actually have to come to class because it's going to be negative a million degrees out, and other reasons too. Um, I'm going to go through. I'm giving you an online class, and it's going to be really quick class because the next class is we're going to show our projects and stuff. So there's one thing left for your video game character, which is due at the end of this week, right? There's one thing left that you need to do. And so I'm going to show you how to do that in this online lecture here. And first I'll show you guys this. I found this great color picker. You actually don't have to go into Adobe Color Picker. I found this online here. Look at that. If I want like an orange or something, I can go here and that's not really orange right here. There's more orange. So it's giving me the RGB values, giving me hex. It's giving me CMYK too, in case you ever need that for something. So that's kind of fast. Okay, back to our notes. So leftover stuff needed for MP1 is you need to know how to make stuff happen when the mouse is pressed, because you're supposed to have a character. Let's go back to me here. You're supposed to have a character, and then when you click on it, something else happens. Like it has a scarf. Ooh, it's cold. And then you unclick, and then the scarf is gone. So how do we do that, right? So let's figure out. So you already know there's a couple of different ways to have things happen when the mouse is pressed or released, right? We already learned function mouse released, and that happens outside here. Let's go to a program here. That happens outside of everything, right? So like, look at here's function setup, and all of these things have got beginning. All these functions have got a beginning and an ending curly bracket. Then we've got this function draw, which is huge, right? This was my snowman thing from the other day. And there's a beginning and ending curly bracket to that as well, right? Here's the ending curly bracket. And what's cool about Atom is if you put your cursor near the curly bracket, its friend will show up, which is kind of neat. You'll see a blue line under there to see that. So, because a lot of times we have nested ones, these curly brackets. God, Atom. All right, so anyway, so that'll be helpful later on when you have nested ones. And so here's my draw loop, right? And then I have this mouse released thing, and we talked about how your draw loop runs 60 times a second, goes through all this, does this, then does this, then does this. So those of you guys who are like, well, how do I know what happens on top of the other thing? The last thing is the thing that happened on top of everything else. It draws this ellipse, then so my body, and then it's drawing my eyeballs, and then it's doing this, and then that, and then it'll loop all around. So the last fill command I had was 255. So if I didn't have a 255 here, that's what it would say. So it's neat to put your fill commands before all your ellipses. Okay, and then there's this mouse release that this is looping, and then if somebody clicks and then lets go of the mouse, it's going to jump here, and it's going to go, what do you want? And this is where we were writing to our console. So if your program doesn't have a mouse release button or function, then nothing will happen when the mouse is released. But there's also some other code here, and I think I have it written here. I said the second way to do something when your mouse is pressed or released is to have an if statement. Ooh, let's check out this code. What could it be? Ooh, it's a P5JS thing. So, ooh, I'm running my cursor around here, and then when I click down, it's white, and when I unclick, it's red. It's making 2 lines. It's making a plus. So let's take a look at that code here. And you guys can change this. If I want my background to be like blue, I could change it 0 RGB. I'll make a 200 blue there. If I rerun this, where is it? Run. I'll have a blue background. Ooh, that's easier to see. They should have made it blue. So here's their setup. They're making a canvas at 720 by 400. They're doing a background, and then stroke weight, it's just the line weight is 2. This draw, look, they have if mouse is pressed, stroke, this is a color of the stroke. It would have been helpful if they had added that in there. And then else, this is different color of a stroke. Different color of stroke. So that's kind of cool. And then that ends here. Remember, I was just talking about nested curly brackets, right? So here's your beginning and ending curly bracket for draw, but then they've got this if mouse is pressed, and then they've got this other curly bracket here. Inside each curly bracket is called a block of code. Then there's just else statement. If the mouse isn't pressed, do that. Then no matter what, they're drawing these lines. So we saw that in the program, right? So let's copy this line. Mouse is pressed. Okay, let's go back to my notes here. The second way is to do this. So somewhere in your draw loop, you should have this. We've got function draw, we've got background stuff. Then I want you to add this. If mouse is pressed, else blah, blah, blah. And then after that, we're still not at the end of the draw loop. The draw ends up here, right? So there could be more stuff too. So let's figure out how to add that into my snowman program here, okay? This is snowman 1, which is probably the better snowman. In order to check it out in the browser, I right-click on index, because I'm going to open an HTML file in the browser. Oh yeah, it was this one. Okay, so that's lovely. Let's go back to the code again. So the code, of course, is in the sketch. Do you guys remember? This is where it's linked. Look at that. If I named this sketch 1, I'd have to change it here. Okay, so I'm making 100 by 800 or 1000 by 800 canvas. Here's my background. Here's my body. So let's say that I want my nose to be orange when the mouse is pressed, and then I don't want it to be orange when the mouse is not pressed. I'll have it be black if the nose is not pressed. So here's where my snowman's nose is, right? I'm glad that I have comments here. I can just find it. In fact, I'll put a comment here that says where the cursor is. And you know what? Take this out for your final product. When you're done with it, take that out, because look, who wants to see that? You show your beautiful project and then there's mouse at blah. Take that out when you turn it in, okay? All right, so if the mouse is pressed, I want a fill that's orange, and if it's not pressed, I want a fill that's black. So I don't even have a fill here. Where's the next fill that happened? Here in my eyeballs, right? I only had one eyeball. It looked like I didn't add another eyeball. But look, there's my black fill. So that's carrying on here, and that's why the nose is black too. So that's cool. So here's this if. If mouse, and you need mouse is pressed, it needs to be spelled like this. No spaces, no asterisks, no, everything's, and it's camel notation, right? Mouse, capital I, capital P, but small m here. I'm actually going to check to make sure that I'm saying that right. P5J, where is it? Where did it go? Here. Mouse is pressed. Yes, look, mouse IS pressed. Okay, it's spelled that way. When I say spelled that way, I mean the capitals are that way too. If mouse is pressed, and then we need a beginning curly bracket, I guess, and an ending curly bracket. Now, fill. So if the mouse is pressed, I want some sort of orange fill. I actually think since this is P5JS, I could, and HTML and stuff, I think I can do that, but I'm not going to do that. Let's go to my fancy new color picker and find, see, look, there's the orange. So oranges have a lot of reds. Looks like they got a lot of greens too, and not so many blues. So I can either do 246, 141, 15, or maybe I'll just grab that. Grab that. Okay, so that was a hex code. We're going to learn what those actually mean in class also. So that'll be orange. Orange. Okay, and then otherwise, else, fill, and I'll have a black. Maybe I'll just write black like that. There's a couple of different ways I can do this, right? So you guys see, there's a curly bracket, and then here's a block of code, and then here's an else, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4 curly brackets in here. Okay, if you forget this, you're gonna get a weird error and you're not gonna know what's going on. Now, I could actually put this triangle nose in here twice too. I could make an orange nose, or I could make a black nose. I could do that if I wanted. I just press the beautify command, Control Option B, to format this. So I can do this, and this, there's not really a difference between this. It's probably more elegant to have it this way. This takes up more space. So more elegant to have it this way, I guess. Maybe if I pressed down on the mouse, though, I wanted the shape of the nose to change too. Anyway, let's see if this works. I'm going to save it. Oh, it's even uploading it, but I'll just look at it online, or I'll just look at it locally for right now. I'm going to rewind or refresh. So I'm going to press down now. Oh, it's orange. Yay. Press, orange. Unpress, black. So that worked. So you need to have something in your code that changes your snowman or your avatar or your game character, depending on whether or not the mouse is pressed. So that's all you have to add in here. You can add more stuff. You know, maybe if I wanted to add a hat, I'd do something else. Just make sure whatever you have afterwards doesn't overwrite it. All right, hopefully you guys understand that. Look, I still have a mouse is released. Great. So, fast class, right? One other thing I wanted to say. Look at all of these things that I have open. I'm gonna click out of them. I don't need all this stuff open. This happens, you know, when you're working in Atom. A lot of times you just get all these tabs open, and you don't really need them all. Okay. And also now I've got two sketch.js's. Maybe I don't know exactly which one is which, so that's kind of scary. Always make sure that you know where you are. You can even just click on the left side and it'll show you. Okay, so that's the mouse is pressed. If you guys have any questions at all, please just email me or Facebook me or something. Now, what else do I have here on in your notes here? Because this is kind of your online class. So I better write watch movie. Watch this movie, and I'll link to the movie. Okay. I have here, this was the code. Self-tests. Make sure you watch this video first and follow these directions. So usually when I make a video, let's have my face here again, because I'm with you guys, right? See, here's my Thor Ragnarok poster and my Fists and Fury poster. I'm in my room. Usually when I make a video, people don't watch the whole thing. They watch like 80% of it. They're like, yeah, watch the whole thing. So if you watch the whole thing, you're going to get the answers to these questions here. Okay, so here's a program that has, whoops, where did I go? Set up. Here's my create canvas. And I've got a background command, which I didn't have when I tried to run this before, and it gave me a huge problem. Make sure that you're blanking out the background every screen, like you're making animation. Otherwise, if you don't have this, you'll see whatever you draw on the screen will just stay there forever. So our circles drawing program, where we want the circles to stay forever, that doesn't have a background command. You'll see in a minute. But here I have 5 rectangles placed in different places, and actually look at this got like messed up here. So if you go under packages, Atom Beautify, try downloading that, and if I beautify it, it'll format it for me. And you're really going to want this later, because that'll kind of tell you if you have a mismatched curly bracket, you'll be able to see that. Okay, so I've got 5 here, and I only want 2 to appear. I want only 3 to appear normally and 2 when the mouse is pressed. So I use that if mouse is pressed thing. If mouse, capital I, and my code hints are giving me code hints. Yay. Then I want a curly bracket. Now see, I'm going to have to delete that one curly bracket. Watch, if I do Atom Beautify now, Atom Beautify, let's see what happens. Yeah. So look. If I think that this is the last curly bracket of the day, like the ending draw, it should be here. It should be all the way on the left side, and it's not. So I can already tell, oh, that's the friend of that one, and I'm missing a curly bracket. So that was one of the problems that every student had always, that they'd have an ending mismatched curly bracket. So if you do, and the command for beautify is Control-Option-B, if you do that all the time and format your code, if your last curly bracket is sticking out here like this, then you're probably missing a curly bracket, and you'll have to count and see where you're missing one. Anyway, now what's going to happen is my code's going to do background. It's like pouring paint on the background, 100 color paint. Then it's making these 3 rectangles, and then let's say I don't have the mouse pressed. Then it's just going to, oh, no, that's false, so forget that. I'll go to the next curly bracket, and I'll do whatever happens here, and then I'll end, and I'll go back to the beginning again. But if the mouse is pressed, it'll run those too. So if we look at the code, or we look at what it looks like, click, there's my two extra boxes, click, and then when I lift off, they're not there anymore. On, off, yay. For the next project you are supposed to do to prove that you've watched this or already you know this is, can you make a program named random circles that draws circles constantly when the mouse is pressed? They're random colors. All right, we have a circle drawing program already. And it was probably one of these circles one, circle, I don't know, but I'm going to call mine random circles. Maybe I'll make random rectangles actually, right? I'll go to empty example again, and I'll duplicate, and I'm going to call this rand rects because I'm gonna draw rectangles. You guys are gonna have to draw circles. Okay, here's my random rects. Kind of sounds gross. And sketch.js, create canvas. I'll do 800 by 800 again because it seems like that's the type of day I want. I don't want a background command because I want to make a drawing program. I want these, whatever I draw here, to stay. So to make a rectangle, it's the X and Y location and then its size, right? So for X and Y location, I want mouse X and mouse Y because I'm drawing it. I want it to follow the cursor, and then I'll just make these 50 by 50 because it's that kind of day. I'll save this, and I'm going to open and look at this in the browser too. Let's see. Hey, look, I have a rectangle drawing program. Ooh, that's really fun. And so let's say I want it to change when I press down. I want a random color. So how am I going to do that? So back to random rects here. I don't have a fill command here at all. Right? So, and I know I'm going to want that if mouse is pressed thing. So if mouse is pressed, there's even a mouse is released thing. Then I know I'm going to want to change colors. I know I'm going to want some sort of fill. And I'm probably going to want a random fill, right? This will give me a random grayscale fill, but you guys have already know that if you add 3 more here, you're going to get a random R, G, and B. Right now I'm going to do a random grayscale. Let's see what this does. I don't know if this is actually going to work or not. So I'll reset it and click, and now I'll press. Yeah, it worked. That's really fun. Okay, so every time, where'd it go? Every time the mouse is pressed, I'm just changing to a different color. I'm changing whatever marker I'm using to a different color. I don't even have a fill in front of here. I just have it here. And that's it. And my guess is that when I release the mouse, whatever crayon color was there will still stay there. So when I first started, the default fill is white. It's not even in here. It's just defaults to white. But after I run this for a while, it's going to have a different color. So let's see if I'm right. Yeah, you see already. Click, and then I let go, and now I have this sort of grayish thing. Do you guys remember how to reset this too? I wish if I pressed it that it would reset. How would I do that? Right? That's function mouse released. Not mouse release, but mouse released. And then background. Oh, 100. That ought to clear out the background. Let's see if that worked. Reset. And then I'm drawing it, and I'm drawing like this. The only thing is that it's gonna reset it even when I press my mouse down. I think it'll reset it. So maybe we don't want that. But anyway, that would be how you would finish out the background. And then there's a couple of flags you could put in here so that you would know whether or not you actually wanted to clear the button. You could actually make a clear button that would only happen. I'm going to comment this out here. You could make a clear button that would only happen when you clicked over here, click to erase, right? You could do that, but that's for another week. Okay, so let's go back to the notes here. So it looks like you are going to have to make you're going to have to do this. Make sure you do this. When you're done with these, upload the links to this assignment called Tuesday, January 29th online, and we'll grade them. That's it. You don't have to do it by Tuesday, January 29th. You probably just got to do it by Thursday. All right. Have a wonderful Tuesday. And Wednesday it's supposed to be -1 million, so be careful that day. And I'll see you on Thursday when your project is due. Thank you.